What is going on, Laker fans, NBA fans? Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Want to spend a little time in today's episode just kind of previewing before free agency starts, where the Lakers are, where some of these other teams are in the Western Conference, and where we see the Los Angeles Lakers going into free agency. So I know a lot of moves are going to happen. I know whether that's with the Lakers or other teams in the Western Conference. But that's what we're going to spend some time doing in tonight's show. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not yet subscribed. I would greatly appreciate it. I know I got a reminder in the beginning of the show, reminder at the end of the show. But if you're a frequent visitor to the channel, I appreciate it. If you've already subscribed, I appreciate it. If you haven't, and this is one of the first times you've ever been on the channel, or you've been on, you haven't subscribed, if you could please subscribe. Okay, where the Lakers rank in the West before free agency. So I was going to pop this up. This isn't, anything crazy here, but I'm going to do two things that I'm going to show that we can kind of go through here is one, where everybody was in the NBA standings when the regular season ended. And then two, just the NBA bracket, how it all kind of panned out. I know a lot of times you look at the standings and you think it's going to go chalk, that these are the teams that are going to move on. That is definitely not always the case. Look at the Lakers as an example, how far they got. Look at the other side, the Miami Heat, how far they got in the Eastern Conference. So definitely did not go chalk by any stretch of the imagination. So I think we could all agree the Denver Nuggets, that will be the class of the Western Conference coming into next year. They'll really be the class of the entire NBA, but let's just stick with the Western Conference for a second. Um, the one thing to keep an eye out for the Denver Nuggets is what eventually happens to Bruce Brown, right? If Bruce Brown is going to re-sign with the Nuggets, or is he going to say, "Look, I got an NBA championship. I went and did everything I possibly can. Let me go get paid," which we all know this happens very, very often in the NBA when a player who does not have long-term guaranteed money has the type of impact that he did on a championship team. Go get your money. So I got nothing wrong with that if I'm Bruce Brown. But if I'm a Laker fan or I'm an NBA fan, anybody but the Denver Nuggets, I want to see Bruce Brown end up with a different team. We know they're bringing back Jokic. KCP is going to come back. Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr. A lot of their main players will be back. But Bruce Brown was a really, really nice contributor for them. Um, I think it's safe to say, no matter what happens with Bruce Brown, are the Denver Nuggets better than the Los Angeles Lakers coming into the season? I don't think anybody's going to really argue that. Denver will be the team that everybody is chasing around the league. So that one, I think, is the easy one, the given. Let me just go down the list here because I think some teams there's going to be some shifting and everything else. But Memphis, in my opinion, all of a sudden got really interesting. They just got Marcus Smart a couple days ago. That was for the Porzingis deal where he went to the Boston Celtics. Laker fans, I know you probably don't want to hear this, but the matchup that the Lakers had against Memphis, let's just say that they were fortunate that Steven Adams, Brandon Clark did not play that entire series. That changed the entire series. That team was built around having big guys that can rebound and then kick it out to some of these guards. I think Memphis is going to be really good next year. Now I understand Ja Morant's going to be out for 25 games, but they were having success without Ja Morant these last couple years when he's not there. Minus Dylan Brooks, I think will be a good thing for them. The Tyus Jones thing will hurt them because Tyus Jones is a nice player, but Memphis, I think, got better already before free agency even started. So where the Lakers are, where the Memphis Grizzlies are, I don't think Memphis is just fading away and the Lakers beating them in 6 games this past year. Oh, the Lakers just own that team. No, I think Memphis is going to have a good regular season. And I think adding Marcus Smart on that team and they just getting healthy will be a big deal for them. So I would say with Lakers and Memphis, um, I got Memphis and the Lakers pretty kind of similar levels here. And again, this is pre-free agency, so we do not know what some of these other teams are going to do. So that's how I look at that matchup. Sacramento Kings. Kings had a good year. Look at them. 48 and 34 in the regular season. I think most people will say that the Sacramento Kings were one of the surprise teams in the NBA and give them credit. Now the question is going to be, can they build off of what they just did? The one thing I will say with Sacramento, if they got into a 7-game set with the Lakers, they just don't play enough defense. Lakers have size and they have defense. I'll take that all day long over a team that's smaller and just wants to run up and down the floor. So Sacramento's getting better. I do think they'll be a threat to an extent in the Western Conference. I think for them now, they just got to take that next step, and that next step is, can they win a round and take it from there. So the Sacramento Kings will be a good team next season as well, and their confidence is only growing. And their ceiling is now going to get a little bit higher. Now the expectations are going to be there for the Sacramento Kings. They won't be a surprise around the NBA anymore, and I'll be curious to see how they respond to that. But Domantas Sabonis, and kind of the rest of that crew there, for the De'Aaron Fox, of course, the rest of that crew there. What they're going to do will be interesting. Do they keep Harrison Barnes? That'll be interesting as well. But I'd still take the Lakers over the Sacramento Kings. Okay, the Phoenix Suns. Some people like the Phoenix Suns. Some people are not that crazy about the Phoenix Suns. I will tell you that Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and DeAndre Ayton still got campaign. Um, I, I understand that they don't got much depth. I get that. I completely understand that. It's a lot of talent. What they're going to do with DeAndre Ayton, I'm not sure yet. I think the Ayton thing is going to be interesting now that Frank Vogel's the head coach there. I'm sure he wants to play with a big man. I'm sure he wants to have a big man. Maybe that relationship's a lot better than what they've had in the past. I think the Phoenix Suns, as much as people are selling on the Phoenix Suns, I want to see what that roster looks like by the time we get to October. Did they keep Ayton? Did they not? Frank Vogel knows how to coach, and the guy knows how to coach defense. So it's not like these guys are just going to walk on the floor and nobody's going to respect him or anything like that. He's won an NBA championship. He obviously has a pedigree. He has a way, a style that he likes, that he implemented back in Indiana, implemented with the Los Angeles Lakers. I think Vogel's going to have a difference for them. But Phoenix, as talented as any team in the NBA, they just don't have the depth. So they're very, very top heavy. You're hoping a guy like Torrey Craig continues to develop for them. They got some players, but they got some work to do from a depth perspective. Let's just put it this way. At worst, I think the Phoenix Suns are on the same level as the Lakers. Lakers are going to be less top heavy, but they're going to have more depth. Phoenix is going to be more top heavy and less depth. So that already right there, 4 teams. Denver, I've already said, they're the team everybody's chasing. Memphis, I think, if they're healthy, and now with Marcus Smart, I think that's a solid squad in the Western Conference. Sacramento, I mentioned, part of some of my concerns with that team and that roster. Phoenix is talented as any team in the NBA. Now you get to the Los Angeles Clippers. A lot of people just want to ignore the Clippers. They want to just simply say that the Los Angeles Clippers are nothing, and that they're a franchise that just has continued to lose year after year, and they're a franchise that you can't depend on. I get all of that, but tell me another franchise that has as much depth as they do. Um, that's as good as it gets on paper. The problem with the Clippers, we know it, is Kawhi going to be healthy? Is Paul George going to be healthy? We've heard some rumors and some conversations that maybe, just maybe, Paul George is on the trading block. Whatever the Clippers look to do, there is still that chance that they're healthy at the right time, and that what's happened 3 out of the last 4 years doesn't happen, which is they got both of their stars in a playoff run. It hasn't happened in 3 straight years. I know I shouldn't think it should happen if this many years it hasn't happened, but they've had some bad luck. And that Clipper roster, I know some people are not crazy about it. Some people don't like it, but really what they don't like is that they just can't be healthy. So the Clippers, I think, will be a problem next year as well, if they're healthy, with that same caveat that everybody has. Warriors are probably the one team of this list so far that I have not understood what they've done so far. The Lakers beat them last year because they were bigger and stronger. So the Warriors decided to get older and smaller with Chris Paul. I don't understand that move. I really, really don't. I get it, the financial part of it. Jordan Poole's contract at 140 is gone, but I've heard people say, look, where Chris Paul is going to have his most, he'll be most advantageous to the Warriors is simply when Steph Curry goes to the bench, and now that second unit has a true point guard, a true professional, a real quarterback. But you're going to tell me that Chris Paul is okay with not starting, number one, and if he is, okay, cool. But he's also okay with not closing. That one I have a difficult time with. They have not gotten bigger. Maybe there's another move to come, but the Warriors, in my opinion, I'm less concerned about than some of those other teams I've already mentioned in the Western Conference. After that, you kind of start looking at the rest of the West here. For me, a couple things stick out. Minnesota Timberwolves, they just re-signed Naz Reid, who remember was out during the playoffs, but he just got a 3-year, $42 million deal. I don't know if you guys know too much about Naz Reid, but I'm a fan. I think he's a really, really nice player. Minnesota's problem is they have Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns. The fact that they went out and got Rudy Gobert is their biggest issue. I don't think they're too much of a threat. They're kind of a weird team. Anthony Edwards can go off for 50 any night, but he's a little bit inconsistent. It's these other teams that are more interesting to me. The Oklahoma City Thunder, they're only getting better. And don't be shocked or surprised, they're a top 6 team in the Western Conference this upcoming year. Chet Holmgren will be coming back. The Pelicans, the Zion saga, obviously continues, and whether he's going to be around healthy, they trading him, they keeping him. But I remember the Pelicans when Zion was there. That team had a moment where they were clicking, and they were solid. So what are they going to do? Are they going to keep Zion? Are they not? And then after that, it's tough to have any faith in the Dallas Mavericks. I know you got Kyrie. I know you have Luka, but let's see what they do to the rest of their roster. The Utah Jazz, I'm actually a fan of their roster and the direction that that team is going, but it looked like they had no interest in making the playoffs. I'm sure they're going to be much more competitive this upcoming year. No need to talk about the Portland Trailblazers because the Dame Lillard situation, is he getting traded? Is he not getting? Can you just trade the man and everybody could move on? We'll see what happens there. Houston, Ime Udoka will be the coach there. I think he'll really kind of start changing that culture around with the Rockets, and the San Antonio Spurs, who had the worst record in the Western Conference, just got Victor. So you know that things are going to change there. The reason why I wanted to just kind of break down the Western Conference a little bit is before we get into free agency, I think the thing to really pay attention to is the West has some real competition and some real talent. Um, I'm gonna actually, I'm gonna show. I want to show one more screen here that I want to share real quick. The talent that the Western Conference has um, is real. That's the best way that I can put it. It's absolutely real, and there are young teams that are getting more experienced. Teams like the Oklahoma City Thunder. What are the Pelicans going to be like this upcoming year? I know they got some issues of their own. Um, you got other teams that are thriving right now, like the Denver Nuggets. Phoenix is adding a ton of talent. The Sacramento Kings are trying to go all in. Memphis just got Marcus Smart. The Clippers, it's going to be about health. The Warriors, it's going to be about health, and if they can get some size, and some of these other teams on the outer part of that, I'm not as concerned about. But here is the road to the NBA Finals, and you tell me going into free agency if you still think the Lakers are the second best team in the Western Conference. I think it's going to be really tough. I really do. Now, the advantage that the Lakers are going to have if they were to come back with the same squad this upcoming year, the advantage that they're going to have is just merely the fact that um, they'll get to play guys that will actually get content. They'll get a training camp together. They'll get a full 82 games together. That they'll get an opportunity where the record is a lot better. They could avoid, they could obviously avoid the playing tournament and also potentially have some home court in the first and second round. So there's a lot of things that the Lakers could potentially take advantage of. But at least for now, for me, the perspective that I look at things coming into the free agency, you got the Lakers that have a lot of question marks. Rui, Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell, Dennis Schroeder, Lonnie Walker the fourth. a lot of question marks for the Lakers. And that roster, on top of what all these other teams are trying to do in the West and how much they're trying to compete, I think it's exciting. I think it's fun, but I also know that the Lakers got some work to do in free agency, in my opinion, to be either the best team in the Western Conference, second best team, third best team, wherever you want to put the Lakers at. Some real competition in the Western Conference. So, Laker fans, I'll throw it back to you. NBA fans out there, where do you see the Lakers right now in the Western Conference before free agency? So before anything else happens, where do you see them? I know I put out a video yesterday talking about kind of the biggest offseason priorities for the Lakers. So that will continue to be part of the chat and the conversation as well. So I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not. Would greatly appreciate that. I'll continue to try to put up daily content as far as that goes as well. So, Lake fans, appreciate you tuning in. NBA fans, appreciate you tuning in. Hope you guys have a good rest of your Sunday.